Coming up next, I'm Walking with Dad.
Being married and having a family and being able to experience that with somebody that you truly love and that you care for and that it's like your best friend. It's next to having a relationship with the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, man. It's one of the best feelings in the world.
And welcome to yet another great episode of Walking with Dad. Here today, I am Nathan Caldwell, Elevation Nathan on Instagram. And I am here with yet another great guest on today. I'm here at Walking with Dad. We give fathers and dads an opportunity to give their perspective on the significance of being present within their kids' life and also within the life of the family altogether. We celebrate Father's Day every single day, and we take one step at a time to bring the family's existence back into the picture. I guess today I have actually known for quite a couple of years now, about 5 or 6 years. Interesting story with him, and we can, of course, get into that as we get a chance to talk. I originally met this man through Offer Up. I played drums and have played drums since my younger childhood days. And so I was looking for an item to purchase through Offer Up. And he was who I met at the time. And we have, fortunately enough, as we were discussing, God ordained, been able to keep in contact since that time of about 5 or 6 years ago. He is a married man with 3 kids, and he himself he's actually been a drummer and been playing drums for well over 30 years now. So I am going to introduce to some, present to plenty of others. His name is Bryant B. Parker. B, what's going on with you, man?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man, I can't call it, man. It's just a lovely day and a great opportunity to sit across from you, man.
Yes, sir. Same here, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate your time and anything that you're going to share with us here at Walking with Dad today, man. If you could let the people know just a little bit about yourself before we get started and get into everything.
Okay. Well, I am married with 3 kids. We just recently celebrated our 16-year anniversary back in March. Got a son that's 21 that'll be graduating college on next year. Got a daughter that is 17 that'll be graduating high school on next year. And our baby girl is actually starting high school in August. She'll be in 9th grade. So
wow. So you'll have your hands full next year as it's
exactly.
Goodness, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So where are you from originally?
Originally, I am from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay, cool. So I guess for anybody who might be caring or might not care, just like I opened the episode with, Brian and I met initially in Greensboro, North Carolina. Like I said, I was making a drum purchase. To make the story a little bit crazier, I was actually down there for North Carolina A&T's homecoming, where they were playing Norfolk State at that time. Great weekend, great opportunity to meet B. We did an Offer Up transaction under the hood, the back hatchback, whatever you call it, of I think it was my vehicle, pouring down rain.
Yeah.
Pouring down rain. And like we've been able to say 5-6 years later, just keeping in contact, man. So that's lovely, man. So hey, man, I it's not too much I can really say about that, man. I just being able to stay in contact with you, being like a God ordained thing, man. Like we're able to keep in touch with each other for more than just drums. We check on each other about different things, man. So yeah, man, I just appreciate that we've been able to build, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So, if you could also too, man, fill us in, if we could just go back to like your childhood, like you said, originally from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Mhm.
Fill us in a little bit about like your childhood, like your upbringing. If you had both of your parents, either of your parents in the picture, anything of that nature, especially, if you had your father in the picture.
Yeah, man, I was very blessed and fortunate to have both of my parents in the picture, man. And my dad was so instrumental. It's crazy. I didn't realize it at the time, but he was the type of dad that, especially on Saturdays, he'd make sure that he woke me up early in the morning. So we go to the barber shop and we could start cutting grass because he had me cutting grass at a very young age. I think I was around 8 years old when I started learning how to cut grass, and he kind of developed a whole business thing with me cutting grass for different people, helping him out and getting up. And I didn't like it then, but as I got older, I realized that he was putting value in me as far as work ethic and doing stuff early, learning how to save money and different things, man. So I'm truly blessed to have had not just both parents, but especially my dad involved. So
Oh man. And if I can also ask, is your dad still living?
he's still living.
Nice, even
Yeah.
better, even better. Now, are you the only child, or do you have any siblings?
I'm the oldest of three. Well, of it's three of us. I'm the oldest. I have a sister and then a younger brother. He'll be 30 in November. So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Cool, cool. So, um, with you being the oldest, would you say that you have had then or even have now kind of like a different experience, different relationship with your dad than your siblings do?
Whew. Um, I would probably say that it was probably different with me being the oldest because I know how that is being the firstborn, being that I'm a father now. My relationship with him, we've always been tight. We've always been close. And even now, with me having my son, I know when he first went off to college, I was like calling him every day. My wife was getting on me like, you leave him alone. You're not giving him enough space. I said, you don't understand. This is my firstborn. He's off up in Virginia, away from me, like 6 hours away. And I'm like, so I even had to talk with my dad. I was like, Dad, I'm having a hard time. I said, kind of letting go. He's like, yeah. He said, I understand. He said, it was like that with you. I said, it was. He said, yeah. He said, because when you were younger, you always wanted to be with me. You always wanted to be around me. Then, as you get older, things start coming into play. You start getting into girls and you want to hang out with your friends, just do other things. So, but yeah, so that relationship thing, it was very important. And even to this day, me and my dad were still tight. I call and check in, and I think being a parent yourself makes it even more personable when your parents are still living, to how important it is to have that relationship with them, especially a dad or a father, because a lot of times we hear about fathers not being in the picture. So yeah, man, it's truly important, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the relationship. So
For sure, man, for sure, definitely. And you said your son, well, I gotta say up here from where you're at. Your son is up here in Virginia. What school is he at?
he's actually at Hampton Sydney in Hampton Sydney, Virginia.
Okay, nice,
Yep.
nice. And you said graduating next year.
Yes,
So
sir.
how well, from what you mentioned, has the adjustment been better for you since he's about to be graduating, with basically kind of letting him go through that part of his life?
It has been better. It was just that freshman year, man. It was rough for me because, like I said, it was a whole nother transition, and realizing that, hey, he's becoming an adult now, and you got to kind of give him space to become, whatever it is that he's seeking to do. And that was hard for me at first, but I've adjusted now, and I've allowed him the space that he needs, or that I feel that he may need. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, things are better now.
I was just about to say, if it was still a little bit hard for you, maybe we'd have to give you a hug through the camera. So I didn't know if you were still adjusting or if it was still a little difficult for you at that
Oh,
point. But that's everything, man. You don't hear as much about like how you said you were a son, or no, you still are a son, and you have your father, but now you're also in the fatherhood role, and you have your son And just that adjustment of having to, well, basically, your father was actually willing to share with you that he had to
Mhm.
go through the same thing of what you're dealing with. And,
Right.
of course, boys get old, daughters get old as well, but it's a
Mhm.
different thing with having a son, obviously, and having a daughter, and with having to adjust with, allowing for them to grow, man. So I definitely
Yes, sir.
appreciate you sharing that with us, man, and the fact that you are, of course, adjusted.
Right.
To tell us about mom a little bit, if you could.
Oh man, mom has been amazing, man. It's funny. My mom, I talked to her today. As a matter of fact, I always try to call on Sundays, especially. I check in with her, ask her how church was, how service was, that type of thing. And it's funny because me and my mom have a relationship, of course, that's very different from my other two siblings. Of course, her and my sister speak every day, but we might speak maybe once, twice a week. But our conversations when we talk, it can be anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour, just depending on what she's doing and what I'm doing. So we've always been close, and we continue to be close, even though I'm 4.5 hours away from her. But yeah, mom is amazing, man. She's amazing.
Cool, man. And your parents are also still together?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So with your upbringing, how was it for your parents being together and you seeing that within the household on a regular basis?
Ooh. I would say for probably the first 10 to 12 years of my life, it seemed pretty normal because I thought that, with parents being married, that was pretty much the way things were supposed to be, or the norm.
Mhm.
But the more I start developing different relationships and getting older and transitioning into middle school and high school, and getting around a lot of people that didn't have that same, as far as that same experience, as far as both parents being involved, I realized that, wow, this is truly something unique, and it's a blessing. But it always just seemed kind of normal for me to have that, and I didn't realize how that can be taken for granted, until I got older. Like I said, I started experiencing people that didn't have what I had. So
And how was it or how has it been for you being the older sibling toward your other siblings and being able to be a sibling or a child and not so much of having to take that fatherhood road? Example just being in instances of when the father has not or was not in the picture, and usually if the oldest is a male, or in any instance that is just the oldest child, but you being a,
mhm,
a man, that you
mhm,
did not have to take on the fatherhood role, you were just able to be a child or a sibling to your siblings.
right. Wow, that was. I guess that was another thing too, man. For me, I didn't realize that so many people had to kind of step into, especially like you said, as an older male or a male becoming a man. I didn't realize that so many people had to step in that role at such a young age. So for me, it was like, oh wow, it was like, man, it's kind of hard to put into words because I never really had to deal with that. I've only seen it from other people's perspective. So it was like, I don't even know if I could have imagined how that would feel or even be to have to step into that role, at such a young age, being a father type figure. So,
Yeah, man, I get it. I get it. I just figured I'd ask. I'm the youngest of my siblings, so I was fortunate to not have to experience that myself neither. But
right.
like I said, I figured I'd ask, man. So you had have had your father in the picture, still have from what it sounds like, a strong enough relationship with him. So you've gone through being a child,
Mhm,
becoming an adult, and now having a family of your own. Um, we mentioned also
mhm.
being married for 16 years now. When did you originally meet your wife?
I originally met my wife. Okay, I'm a back up here. I met her originally, let's see, about 2002, I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Um, at church, of course. At that time she was like the worship leader. So I wasn't, it's funny, I wasn't even looking at her like that, I'll say, in
Okay.
2000. Wasn't until 2006 that we actually started dating and hanging out.
Hmm.
And I realized, I was like, wow, you know, I mean, because we'd always been cool, but you know, I was like, wow, you know, we started hanging out and hanging after church and doing rehearsals, just kind of flowing, me, her, and the musicians. And we went out to eat, and I was like, you know what? She's cool. I could hang out with her. I could see myself hanging out with her, and it just went from there, man. So
Cool, cool. And how they kind of say the rest is history.
the rest is history.
So like you were already obviously you say it's for 30 plus years, and I'm a suspect that you're not 31 years old exactly.
No,
So
sir.
so you were already playing drums and playing at the church at that time as well.
Yes, yep.
And so she was there, she
Hmm.
came into the picture, you started to recognize her. How did that transition take place as far as, recognizing her to then actual pursuit and then whatever followed for you?
Um, well, like I said, when we would hang out and go out to eat or something like that, I started realizing just how attractive she was, and it was like, you know what? Not only were we friends, because you know I've heard people say in the past, you know, you don't want to date a friend because it'll mess up the friendship. But then to me, that's an oxymoron, because it's like, but then I hear people say that, you know, my wife is my best friend. And I'm like, how is your wife your best friend? I never understood that, because I didn't know. Usually when I would date somebody, you're not friends first. It's like you see them, you be like, oh wow, that's a nice looking woman. I'm gonna go over and have a conversation with her, get a number, and then you know you start talking on the phone or whatnot, and then next thing you know you're dating. Um, but with this, it was a thing where we actually got to be friends for years first, and then it was like you know, I pursued her, and it was like I can really actually say now that my wife is my best friend. Yeah,
Nice, nice, nice. Cool, cool. So if I could fast forward, you still play at church?
I'm still currently playing at church.
And is she also still the worship leader at church?
She is. She's still the worship leader at church.
Ah, that's 10 year.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, man. So, of course, taking that step of wanting to go ahead and get married. Let me ask this before I even get into that. What made you, obviously, with pursuing her, what made you see significance in pursuing what one could call a church girl or a church woman?
Well, for me personally, I've dated women in the church and I've dated women outside of the church. But for me, being a musician in the church and a lot of times spending a lot of time practicing and being at church, I knew that it was going to be important for me to find somebody in church, being that I knew I needed somebody that was going to be equally yoked with me. And what I mean by that is sharing the same type of things that I like, which was music. And for me, it just happened to be gospel music. I mean, I play all types, but for the most part, gospel music is where it all started. So I knew it was important for me to have somebody that was involved in the church and of course love Christ. And you know, being Christ minded. So
Cool. So with that taking place and taking the next steps of getting married, when or even how did such discussions come about as far as wanting to start a family? Was that more so of your side of a perspective or a decision? Was it her side, or did y'all both feel the same way about that initially, or how did that take place?
well, initially, since I'm an open book, so we'd we'd actually had a daughter prior to getting married. We got married. Okay, let me back up. So our oldest daughter came in 2007. We got married in 2008. And by no means was it because of my daughter, because I know a lot of people think, well, was it because of your daughter? No, because my daughter was actually almost a year old when we got married. And being that I'd had a son prior before marriage, I knew that it wasn't a thing where, I'm just gonna get married because we got this kid. No, she proved and passed the test. It was like, okay, I'm looking at all the characteristics in her that match up with my mom. And I knew that my mom, whatever characteristics that a woman had that I could see in my mom, I was like, oh yeah, this is wifey material right here. So that's how I knew that she was the one.
Okay, cool. So, son was before the marriage took place.
Mhm.
Daughter occurred technically before y'all got married, but y'all were, basically seeing each other dating. And
Right,
then third child, your other daughter, um, eh, you know, took place within the marriage.
right.
So was by the time the third daughter came around, was that mutual decision, or was that more so of a one-sided decision? How'd that take place?
Oh, you mean the second daughter, the last daughter?
Yeah, the third child, second daughter, yeah,
Yeah,
last daughter, yeah, yeah.
that was it was a mutual decision, but I think my wife was really wanting to wait a little longer because she was on this whole weight loss kick, and it was like, when she came, it was kind of a surprise. It was like, I wanted to lose this much weight before she came, but at the same time, it was still a blessing because it was like, well, we are married, so
Mhm.
it's okay. Although I know you wasn't ready to be pregnant right now, but at the same time, it was all good.
And you can care to share if you want to, but as long as I'm hearing things correctly, your son was in the picture before you all met, or how did that play out?
Yeah, my son was in the picture before we met. Um, actually, let's see. He was born in December of 2002. So no, he was in the picture after we had met. I'd already met her. We weren't, of course, we weren't dating or anything, but the church that I was currently playing at, she was there. So I was actually playing there before he came on the scene. So
Okay. All
yeah.
right, cool, cool. So, how would you say, if there is any, a relationship between the mother of your son
Mhm.
and your wife, as far as like them getting together, getting along with each other, or if they happen to not at all?
That's interesting. You bring that up, Nathan. They were actually. It's funny. They were actually in a little singing group together before my son was born, and they've always been pretty cool.
Okay.
But of course, once my son had come, and he gotten a little older, and then once my son's mom, found out that me and my wife were dating or gonna be getting together. Of course, that was she wasn't too fond of that.
Mm,
But as of today, they don't really have to communicate or anything, but they've always been cordial.
okay.
So yeah,
All right, I get that. I get that.
yeah.
So, of course, we could talk however and for however long about drum stuff, but I want to, if we do, kind of keep that limited, man. But I don't know, man. So how is it, or how has it been with you being a drummer and you have the worship leader as your wife? Basically, you have somebody who's a vocalist or who can sing and who's
Mhm,
also understanding. Y'all have that musicianship, companionship that you can share
mhm.
right in your household. Like, how has that been for you all?
Man, it's crazy because it's been great, and then it's been not so great. And when I say not so great, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it as not so great for me personally, because I have somebody that knows me and knows the potential inside of me and is willing to push me at any cost, even when I don't even want to be pushed sometimes. So it's been times like in rehearsal that, I'm playing and she'll be like, she'll call me out and she'll be like, no, B, that's not how the beat goes, or that's not how the song goes, or no, I need you to do this. And I'm thinking, I can't do that. And she's like, yeah, you can. So it's like having somebody there. It's like having a coach there that, like I said, that's willing to pull the best out of you out, or pull something out of you that you don't even realize is there. And so it's been great in that aspect. And like I said, it's been not so great because sometimes I don't want that pulled out of me, or I don't want to, do certain things. But she makes it where I'm comfortable enough to do that and to pull that out, man. So it's been a blessing. I think some people might be like, well, I couldn't work with my spouse, or I don't see how, but it's been great for us because not only does she do that for me, but I do it for her. And a lot of musicians tell us, they're like, man, y'all, the way y'all work together, it's like you be knowing what she gonna do, and it's amazing, man. It's really amazing.
You don't ever happen to even in a nice, caring way, return the favor as far as like, well, you up there singing a little flat. You up there singing a little something.
No, sir, no.
No. So yeah, so she can get away with it. The vocalist
No,
can
sir.
get away with it, but the instrumentalist can never get away with it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I can't get
Oh man. So is your wife also originally from what is it, Greensboro?
a sir. She is.
Okay, cool. Nice, man. Dang, that's pretty cool, man. Greensboro is I could say second home away from home, but I've never lived there, just visited there, of course, when I was in school. But Greensboro just seems to be a nice city in
It,
the best way I can say that without sounding like kind of corny, but it
it
just
is.
seems put together. It's a lot going on down there, and obviously that's home for you.
Right,
But yeah, Greensboro is just it's been nice to me. So
right.
yeah, that's all I can really say.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So your children are getting older. They can do for themselves.
Right.
Teenagers and early adulthood. What do you think will potentially be something difficult or even easy for
Mm.
you as your youngest is a freshman or is about to be a freshman?
About to be a freshman, yeah.
Yeah, in high school, man. So, what is something difficult or even easy that you think will take place for you or for you and your wife? She's coming up, she
Hmm.
reaches high school graduation, she pursues whatever the next steps might be, whether it is college or not.
Right.
What would you say something difficult or easy for y'all would be with her when she's getting to that point of like,
Mm.
teenage, young adulthood,
Right.
going through all that?
Oh man, I think the hardest part that I think about constantly is where is she going to think about going to college or going to school when she does graduate high school, because it's like right now, like you said, we're in South Carolina, but I mean, she's getting offer letters. She's been getting letters from colleges now. She got something from Clemson. She got something from a few others, but for now, the ones she's been getting offers from are in South Carolina. But I'm like, but what if she decides to go somewhere, like out of state, like Cali or somewhere, way across? It's like that to me, that's the hardest part, knowing that you got this 18-year-old that's heading off to school, and they could end up anywhere in the world. So it's like that's gonna be a struggle for me. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I see that as being the biggest struggle. So like I said, with my son, he's in Virginia. That's 6 hours away. I can easily just drive up there. But if you going somewhere, you 17, 18 plus hours, and I got to fly to get to you and all this stuff, it's like, that's the roughest part for me.
You gonna be all right,
Yeah,
man?
yeah, I'm gonna be all right. I got people like you and different ones that to hold me up with this prayer. So,
So that's your youngest daughter. But your
yeah.
daughter that's about to be graduating from high school next year, has she already been having any kind of college talk or just any other next steps?
She's actually, I think she just wants to work. She might end up going to maybe a trade school or something like that. But we'll be glad just getting her across that stage, graduating. That'll be a blessing for us right there. So so I'm not really concerned about her really moving off too far because I think she kind of wants to kind of stick around
Okay.
close to us and everybody. But like I said, my youngest though, with her being an athlete and very gifted academically. So I think that she could, like I said, she could end up anywhere. So that's the scary part about that. So
And literally, I was just about to touch back on that because I can't overlook how you just said she's about to be a freshman and she's already getting letters and getting, recognized from Clemson and
yeah,
any other schools within South Carolina. So we can't just overlook that like that's not a big deal because she's getting that as a incoming freshman. So who knows what happens by the time she's a senior. What sport is she playing?
she's actually looking into track. She was doing gymnastics and she was doing dance at the school at her current middle school. So I don't know if she's going to plan on doing any other things other than track, but she's, like I said, she's very very academically gifted as well as sports, because although she doesn't play basketball and different things, she's good at it. So it's like she's pretty well rounded, which
Mm,
is a good thing. So
yeah, so we gonna for you B, we gonna start those prayers now for you because
I appreciate it.
with that, I'm not we're not gonna try to hold her and limit her to South Carolina. And I just be honest with you. I mean, you the parent in the situation, but the way
Right,
that being academically, excelling academically and through track and field,
right.
yeah, she could end up somewhere, man. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, go ahead and start those prayers for me.
yeah, man. But definitely early congratulations. I mean, this is like
Appreciate
4 or so years in advance because that's everything, man. And then your son and your other daughter graduating next year. So
it. Right.
early congratulations on all of those, man. Y'all definitely have your hands full with the
Yes,
next
sir.
upcoming years.
Right, right.
So what is right now present day look like for you and your wife or for the Parker family just all together, like just if you could just fill us in with anything that y'all have going on or any plans, any pursuits of any sort of what y'all have in place.
Wow. Such a loaded question, man. I think right now for the Parker family, man, is like I said, just kind of living it day by day, man, taking it day by day, and definitely allowing God to lead and guide us in the way that we should go as far as for us and for our kids, because I think a lot of times as parents, you're relying on God to give you the answers for you, but you're not really thinking about what you should be doing for your kids as well. So it's like for us, it's just trying to navigate through that, man, and be the best parents we can be to our kids, and being a parent but not so much limiting them, and just trying to keep them in God's hands, man, because it's a lot of times things that come up and it's like it's beyond your control. So you just have to learn how to turn your kids over to God and put them in God's hands and let him work things out for you. So I think that's where we are right now, man. Just trying to be the best that we can be, and trying to make sure that our this next generation is the best that it can be. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can dig it, man. Using this platform as like a video, audio time capsule for your children. I mean, they're of age enough, and they've come up in this day and age that social media,
mhm.
electronics is like everything. It's the big thing. It's the going consensus. But using this platform as like a video or audio time capsule for your kids 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, they get an opportunity to look back at this episode of Walking with Dad, and they get an
Mhm.
opportunity to see their dad talking and even speaking, pouring something into them. What is a something of any sort that you would want to leave with your children of some sort of insight from you?
Wow. I would definitely want them to know that first of all, to keep God first and to put God first, and when in doing that, anything is possible. The sky's the limit. Don't settle. That would be my thing. Don't settle. Um, if there's something that you want and something that you're striving for, with God on your side, do whatever you can to make that happen. Because if you settle, you'll never be satisfied. So definitely, don't settle would be my biggest thing that I would say to them.
Is there anything that you would care to want to share or speak to them individually?
I think for my son, I would say, to keep on the path that you're on, continue striving and working hard, and the best is yet to come. And for my oldest daughter, I would say never give up. Continue to work hard, and whatever it takes for you to be successful, if it's, getting the extra help or whatever it is you have to do, I would say do it. And for my youngest daughter, I would just say, wow. Um, just continue to keep God first. To be honest, it's not really much that I could really say to her, because she's kind of a go-getter. So it's like, whether you tell her or not, she's going after it. So it's like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. So
And I appreciate that, and I know that they do, and they will definitely, man. With you being a drummer, but you're not a full-time drummer, and still having and holding down a 9 to 5. What is something that you've been able to learn from being a drummer, being a musician, that you can apply to your life from your experience?
wow, man, you hit me with some questions I ain't never thought about till now, man. Wow. I will say this. Coming up as a musician, being around other guys, like I grew up with a few guys that were full-time drummers. They played for a lot of the local stuff, and they traveled with different artists. And a lot of times I would go out, whenever we'd be able to get together, we'd go out to eat lunch or hang out or whatnot. And I think I was a little envious, if I'm using the correct word. I wasn't jealous, but I think I was a little envious. And I say that because I wanted to be a full-time drummer. I didn't want to have to work a 9 to 5, but with the area I was in, the music scene wasn't really popping like that. So I knew I had to work, and I knew playing drums was just kind of a side thing for me. So it wasn't until probably maybe about 10 years ago that the guys that I grew up with that were doing it full time were saying, man, we wish we would have done like you and worked a job, and then, did music on the side, because it was like, yo, trying to play full time, ain't no benefits in that. Ain't no retirement in that. Ain't no 401k in that. So it's like, the time they spent, trying to chase the dream of being a full-time musician, they could have been working and building some things. So it's like, I'm glad that I did take the path that I've taken. And it's crazy because now opportunities are coming to me as far as playing. And it's like, I'm 44 years old. Do I really want to do this, or is this something I want to do? But I think, with God, God works outside of time. But so with him, it's not like, well, yeah, you're 44 now. So it's almost like, hey, long as you got the opportunity to live to see another day and all your limbs are working and I've given you the ability, it's never too late. So I've taken on a whole nother view as far as that's concerned. So it's like, and I may be kind of straight away from the question you asked, but yeah, man. So I hope that kind of answers, what you were asking. So
Oh no, man, you learned something, and that's what I was gearing toward. And I would have to say that you answered it for me. For anybody who's watching, if he didn't answer for them, then maybe they'd have to reach out to themselves. But yeah, man, that's a topic of conversation for sure. As far as church musician, or playing as a musician alongside with
Mm-hmm.
having a 9 to 5 versus being a full-time musician, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's playing at church or churches or church gigs full time, or being
Right.
able to travel and tour or whatever. That's
Mm.
definitely a topic of conversation, and it's that perspective of whichever direction that one might choose. So yeah,
Right.
like I said, I would say that you did answer that for me.
Oh,
But just another thing too, here at Walking with Dad and having different fathers, different
mm-hmm.
instances of fathers that are in place, whether they are married, fortunately enough, like yourself, or they are a single father, or they're in that category of being played out to be like a deadbeat. They're not given
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to be in their children's lives for whatever reason.
Right.
What is a thing or a few things that you can share with us as being a father yourself, with any young fathers, any up
Mm-hmm.
and coming fathers, soon to be fathers, from your experiences that you've had?
Well, I would say, first of all, being a father to me is one of the best things that could have ever taken place. I mean, even though I started young, I was 22 when my son was born. But it's no better feeling, man, than to know that you've helped bring this life into this world, and God has given you the responsibility to help take care, to nurture, to be responsible for. I mean, to me, man, that's one of the best feelings in the world. And you definitely have to take on a whole another mindset. You have to take on a whole nother, I mean, like the Bible says, when I was a child, I acted as a child, but as I got older, I put away childish things. So I feel like anytime you become a father, okay, it's time to put away the childish things. Whatever you were doing prior to that child being here, that, foolish, childish, whatever, it's time to put that away. You got to get on that grind. You got to do whatever you got to do to be in this child's life, because, like I said, it's not just about you, it's about the next generation. So when you leave here, what are you depositing into that child's life that's gonna propel them to the next level, or to be a great seed in that child's life that will help them to navigate and to be a blessing to any and everyone they come in contact with. It's no greater feeling. There's no better feeling than that, man. So that's what I would say. That would be my thing that I would say to anybody that's about to be a father, or that's, experiencing fatherhood. Do the best you can being there, because there's no time like the present, and being present in somebody's life. Because remember, there was a pastor that I used to play at church. He said, folks need you, need you. And I understand it then. As I got older, I was like, that means that somebody do something, be there, you need to be there in your child's life. Because there'll be times where you like, man, if I present. I mean, working is cool, but trying to have that balance of being present and spending as much as possible, um, that's key.
Mm, really does. And of course, you have a son and two daughters, so
Mhm.
an opportunity of that experience from both sides of the coin. So,
Right.
what are things that you learn and experience? Obviously, you treat your son different from you treat your daughter, treat your, but
Right.
actually, what are any things that have you of having a son, having your daughter, that you can also, with anybody who's up and coming, kid, one that have children, don't have any yet, in anything.
Say, man, there is a difference. I hear people talk sometimes. Some people that have sons, but that have just daughters. Like you said, you said a very important thing. I got the best of both, because I got both a son and daughters. From experience, um, are that I'm speaking from experience. I can't say it's going to be his experience, but no, I say sons are easier because in my particular case, my son, just like me, very quiet, very laid back, bother anybody. All he wanted to do around his dad. He loved it and he loved his dad. Whereas with my daughter, they kind of pick and choose when they want to be his girl, or at least used to. They used to. So it's like, hey, yeah, feeling your dad next week is not so much so. But different, yet both are still very important. Because of course they go through different things, different challenges to and a lot of times raising a son, the first teach him, if he starts crying, whining those, first, hey, stop that. You don't know that crying, It's like as men we from the time it's like boys are supposed to cry. Stop that. As girls would be a little more, understanding. Okay, yeah, you cry a little bit, but I think we have to raise kids though where like it's not really a difference between the boy and those other fact that he's the oldest, he kind of to kind of look at his sisters, and I think girls is too that are, but we raise, look out for his sisters and be there or whatnot. The girls, I think it depends on what perspective you're coming from. My wife would probably have a totally different perspective. Like for me, as far as dating thing for girls, it's a whole different. Not looking forward to them dating because I know how some of these young men be. So it's almost like, but I think we've raised girls to the point where, yeah, we're really feeling that now because guys out here that kind of childish and like, all about how you bring them up. Or if you bring them up in a manner where you teach no nonsense when it comes to opposite sex, a girl, son or daughter, because you don't want any of them to have type of pain. So you can't prevent that, but if you can prevent pain, it's better. So, but yeah, I think that kind of sums in the neck.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. For us to hear today, do you to just together in general? Anything else that comes to mind or comes to you? Is there anything else that you would like to discuss today, as far as to fatherhood, dad, having your children, being married, the case might be?
Man, the only other thing I would share, said being married, having a family, and being able to experience that with somebody that truly love and care for. It's like friend. It's having a relationship with the Savior Jesus Christ, man. It's one of the best feelings, and it's just knowing that you got your spouse and you've been able to bless to bring into this world that you're going to raise up, and then maybe later on the line that grow up, maybe take care of them. So they're returning the family, man. It's so.
And last thing, why has that been so important for you? Just once again, going back to your childhood, and then kind of like a full moment now, a dad yourself, had dad in the picture, and then now being a dad, especially of everyone. Why has it been so important for you to have experienced basically your life, being raised in a family and now having your own?
I think that's been so important to me because it instills values that like growth has lost over time. And I feel like that God smiles at family and God sees family being important. When you come back during the time that Jesus was walking the earth, and, was when his thing as adolescent, like that God would allow Jesus to come down and to be born And to have a natural mother and father kind of is the ultimate example of how important family is. Because, I mean, he could have easily just sent Jesus into this world as, immortality, but he chose to allow Jesus to come through a woman. So, and to be raised by a man and a woman. So I just feel like that's the ultimate example of family right there. And we are to kind of model that and try to do the best we can as far as, bringing the next generation in to make this world an even better place. So,
yeah, man. Yeah, for sure, man. That's probably one of the best ways of being able to break that down and to just lay that out right there like that, man. So I appreciate that, B. I appreciate your time once again today, your insight that you have
yes,
shared
sir.
with me and with us and for us, man. For anybody who I don't know, might have been searching out that information, man. I definitely hope and pray that
Right.
it has helped somebody today. I know that it's helped for me, man. I appreciate that. But
Yes, sir.
for us here at Walking with Dad, we thank you once again just today all together. And for everybody out there watching and tuning in, I thank you all for your time today, for tuning in to today's episode. If you could, please like and share with somebody else who is in need of this information, would like to tune in as well. Leave a comment of something that stood out for you and to you today, and subscribe to the channel here at Walking with Dad. And we're going to see you on the next episode.